Hello and welcome. My name's Dave, and you're listening to episode 87 of On the Bench, the podcast for scale modelers, by scale modelers, all about scale models. This episode is being brought to you through the generous support of a dedicated group of supporters who have pledged amounts from $1 per month upwards. These contributions help with our production and hosting costs, and you too can also help. Simply go to www.patreon.com/onthebench. Any contribution is greatly appreciated. We now have over 10,000 people downloading our podcast each month, which is simply mind-boggling when you consider that we originally started with around 100 downloads per month. So for our loyal listeners, I'd like to encourage you to also have a listen to two other great modelling podcast shows. Firstly, there is a Scale Model podcast hosted by Stuart and Anthony, hailing from Canada. The second show is also a must listen, and that is the Plastic Model Mojo podcast out of Kentucky with Michael and Dave. I really recommend that you add these two great shows to your podcast list. And hello and welcome to the show, and with me I have Ian.
G'day Dave, g'day listeners.
G'day Julian.
Good evening. I mean, good morning. Sorry,
morning.
it is morning, isn't it?
It is morning, yes.
A little bit confused there.
Yeah.
Have a late night, did you?
No, not actually. Not as bad as most other nights.
Oh, really?
I guess. Yeah. I mean, normally I'm Friday night. I'm up late. Just chilling out.
Yeah.
But last night wasn't too bad because I'm on holidays at the moment.
Ah. Going anywhere for your holidays?
You're not allowed to.
So I was like, what?
We're being hit with a second wave here in Victoria, Australia. So
Bad wave too.
of the dreaded coronavirus.
Over 80% of the Australia's cases are now in Victoria.
Yeah, so they've reimposed some restrictions, but luckily that we can still all meet together in the studio, so it's not too bad yet.
Yep.
But this it's a nasty thing. I don't think we're going to get anywhere until they get an actual what's it called? Injection?
Cure.
Or
Vaccine.
yes, thank you, vaccine. That's the word I'm looking for. Anyway, enough of that. We've been putting up this for long enough. Let's talk about what we love, modelling. Ian, what have you been up to?
Well, getting some getting some serious work done to the buff.
I noticed.
Yeah, last night I applied the 6 decals, and yes, they did go on well. Didn't destroy them. I was, whew. The smallest amount of decals, the bigger amount of chance you're going to ruin one.
Yeah.
So that got done last night, and then I applied a coat of Guns Premium Clear.
Yep.
And this morning got out of bed about 6 o'clock this morning. Gave all the working areas a pin wash, and then hit it with some flat premium guns, and later this afternoon I can start the favourite part of the modelling and the weathering.
Very good. Julian, what have you been doing?
I've been tinkering with my 2-car models. And
tinkering.
Yeah. So the Tamiya gull wing is pretty straightforward. I assembled the tube frame chassis.
Yep.
And I clipped off and got most of the engine block and transmission type stuff all sorted out, so I can
Cool.
I can paint that alongside other things.
Excellent.
The little Renault is it's an old Italieri kit and needs a lot of cleanup, and so I've been doing things like sort of carefully filing down the sides of the hatch on the back.
Yep.
So I can actually fit it on, because it's a little bit too wide to actually fit in its cavity.
Right.
Yeah, and then making sure it's in the right spot so that actually meets the curvature of the, because it's got like a sort of a, I don't know, bump kind of thing on the rear as part of the shape of the vehicle. And
Right,
you got to make sure it's in the right spot and blah blah.
It matches perfectly to the flows.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then sort of looking at the fit between the rear bumper and that hatch. And then at the front, I had to do the same thing for the bonnet or hood, if you're an American.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think I might just keep it closed the whole time.
Yep.
Because it's not a very good looking motor.
Right. Yep.
It's in reverse, The transmission is in front of the motor.
That is weird, isn't it?
I know it is. And like the actual engine's right up like in a hole in the fire, like sort of like a cavity in the firewall.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They've accommodated it so that it goes under the windscreen a little bit or whatever.
Yep.
And the transmission sticks out the front.
Bizarre.
Very odd. Very odd.
So I mean, like I've been working on stuff like that. At first I thought, oh well, I should paint all this up because I didn't realize it was like a full engine kit instead of a curbside.
Right. Yep.
But I'm only gonna like paint the underside of it and everything, and
just paint what you can see.
it's not because it's pretty crummy molding, so the motor doesn't look very good at all. You know, it's really really bad. You know, it almost looks like all the plastic has acne on it. You know, like nothing has a nice smooth shaped contours or anything like that. It's all sort of a bit rough edged. It looks like someone's cut molded this thing with like a lump of putty sculpt and all that sort of thing.
Bin it. Just go and bin it.
The whole kit.
Yeah, bin it.
I'm
Why look at yourself through all that pain? Just bin it.
Listen here, Dave. I am the guy who bins things before everyone else. All right, that's my. Don't try and take my crown.
Oh, geez.
So what about you, Dave?
Well, I've been on a roll. So I've got the dingo finished. Then I made a commitment to get some of the shelf queens out of the way. So I've finished the Tarantula, which is a Soviet Corvette missile boat. Although I've still got to do the rigging, so technically it's not quite finished, but close enough.
It's
close
not
enough.
finished till it's finished.
And
wait a second.
What?
How much of a percentage of the whole build do you think the rigging takes up?
I reckon for the Tarantula only about 5% because it's only a couple of
okay.
comm wires. It's nothing, and a couple of hawsers, and that's about it for signal flags.
Oh, fair enough.
Probably take me about 15 minutes if I sort of sit down and get myself to it. I'm just looking for some detailed photos as to where the actual lines run. So,
that was one thing that I found a bit difficult when I did that one ship that I've done. Getting the references to know where the cables run. Because it's not always that well documented.
No, you're right.
And you can't see it in photos half the time.
Yeah, you're right. And it's just a case of, having a look around and getting all the right... It's not easy. I know. Ian and I know.
Do we ever?
And I was going to do my Pegasus US Navy US Navy patrol boat, which is a hydrofoil, except I don't know where I put all the spare parts.
Hydrofoils? That's cool.
I know, but I don't know where I put the spare parts. So I can't fish until I find them.
Oh, Dave.
So then I started a little Polish, it's a Mirage kit, 1350. It's a Polish torpedo boat. And it's a beautiful little kit.
Trying to think, do I have that kit?
You probably don't.
Oh, I've got a Mirage Polish.
Have you? Yeah, you might have it. So this is like 1901, 1906, something like that.
Kit. Yeah, I've got that kit.
And
they also do the German A86, which is also a World War I German torpedo boat.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, because I've got that kit as well in my collection.
So this is going together really well. It's Mirage is a bit, just fiddly, and you got to do a bit of work. But
plastic, I find the plastic very airfixy.
Oh,
it's that softy plastic.
It's not as soft as Airfix, but it's sort of getting down that road, yeah. But I'm, and the details are fairly sparse, so you've really got to work on and I'm about to get on the superstructure, just about finish the hull, so I'll paint the hull, and then I'll work on the superstructure, and but yeah, it's going to take a little bit to get it. Yep. It looks great. I'm really looking forward to it. And then I went and bought a load of kits. I bought an AFE Club M108, which is a 105mm howitzer in a self-propelled gun, which was used by the US Army and I believe quite a few other armies as well, like the Koreans perhaps and a few others. But interestingly, Australia actually leased 6 of these during the Vietnam War. So I'm doing this as an Australian version. And unusually, one of them's actually got a camo scheme, which is pretty unusual sort of for Vietnam. So instead of the normal drab olive green, I'm going to be able to put a bit of a camo on it.
Oh, cool.
And then I was watching the SpaceX launch a couple of weeks ago when, Elon Musk launched his
Elon,
new
yep.
rocket and all that sort of stuff, and the Dragon capsule. And I thought, oh, gee, I could do with building a rocket. So we went over to my good old friend Tony, who owns and runs Horizon Models, and I went and bought the Mercury spacecraft.
You bought his catalogue, right?
Yeah, I did. I bought everything he had. Well, actually, he threw in a couple of kits for me, seeing I was on a big spending spree. Mm-hmm. So thanks very much for that, Tony. And so I bought the Redstone launcher rocket. I bought the Mercury Redstone launcher. I got the Convair SM65D Atlas. I've got the Mercury Atlas and also the little capsules. And they're great little kits, 1/72 scale. So now that I've got these, I'm inspired to go and get a Saturn V in 1/72 scale. And apparently I think Dragon does that, but it's about $200, so plus if I can find it.
If you can find one, yes. Yeah,
so that's my next task, to find that and then go ahead and do that. Oh, and also with the back to the M108, it comes with rubber tracks, which I detest, as everybody knows. So I found some Italeri individual link tracks, which I have purchased. I'm just hoping they fit this kit.
Yeah. Look, if they go around the drive sprocket, you should be right.
Yeah. And I can't see why they wouldn't, really.
You'd be surprised.
Oh, come on, you two.
You'd be surprised.
That's the naivety in your words. It makes me laugh.
It was only $10 from Hong Kong, so I figured, what's the worst? You know, if it doesn't,
Well, you may find out what the worst is.
Well,
Yeah, that's right.
Well, what I'll do is I'll only put together about 3 or 4 and just see if it actually goes around the sprocket. Otherwise, I'll have to find the AFE kit individual links and then have a crack at them.
Yeah.
So I've been on a roll. I've been really busy.
Yeah, that's good.
Buying stuff and building stuff, and went down to the model shop the other day and bought some more paint, and it's really on a
The
roll.
only thing I bought was another Mustang. Another Edward Mustang.
Another Edward Mustang.
Yes, the P51D.
You're going to have to start building them.
You're going to have to build. You haven't actually got a Mustang or a Spitfire, as you pointed out the other day.
To my shame, I don't have either of those built in my collection. So my next build will be either a Spitfire or a Mustang.
Gotta go the Mustang, dude.
Yeah, I might hook in and do one of your Mustangs.
There's some lovely schemes in this Edward kit.
I've got more schemes, and I also bought a decal set. So I can do I think it's the 75th Fighter Squadron in the Pacific Campaign, which just had black tails. Oh. So the back, I don't know, third of the aircraft is all black, and they just look really, really cool.
That'll look hot.
And that decal sheet came with Detroit Miss, which is one of my favourite schemes, the yellow-nosed Mustang, with the red bomb with Detroit Miss written in it. I thought, that looks pretty cool as well. So I've got more schemes. I'm thinking,
So you're going to paint it up. So how are you going to paint the black? Are you going to paint it black, or are you going to...
Actually, that's a good question.
No,
that's a very good question.
Because you could have... Because the way I sort of see it is you can kind of approach it the way you usually do your aircraft kits, or you could approach it much like you do a car kit, where your black is actually black and yellow is a yellow and blah, blah, blah.
No, I usually tend to not use pure black for black, especially on scale models. It's just too much.
Yeah, so what, would you use a tyre black?
No, sometimes I add a bit of... I get like a very dark grey and then just add black to it. So it's not exactly just shy of being black. So it's more like a tone down from black. So I just find in the scale it just looks so much better. That's
why I actually love using that tyre black paint. I think Tomeo do it.
Yeah, but it's got a bit of a blue tinge to it.
Yeah.
Which you may not necessarily want.
Yeah, that's
like sometimes you want to go a bit more green.
Yeah.
Because that can look a bit, I don't know, more natural as a sort of, this thing was painted black and then weathering got to it, you know?
Yeah. Yep. Fully agree.
Yeah.
So that's it for me, yep.
All right, cool. Well, how about we have a very short break for a word from our sponsor, and we're back with listener mail because we got a ton of mail. We'll see you on the other side. The Scale Modeler Supply. Certified Australian made, the Scale Modeler Supply has created a comprehensive range of premium acrylic lacquer paints that have been specifically developed to cater for the scale modeler. Designed to use straight from the bottle, SMS paints have taken all the guesswork out of airbrushing. Simply shake the durable glass bottle and pour and spray for a fast-drying and extremely durable result. The ever-growing range of SMS paints will suit all types of model builders, be it military, aircraft, train, car, science fiction or Gunpla. SMS premium acrylic lacquer paints will have the colour to suit you. The Modeler Supply is also your one-stop shop for all weathering, brushes, masking, tools and other accessory needs. SMS paints and tools and accessories are available either directly from their website, www.scalemodeler.com.au, or through stockists across Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, and the USA. And as a special bonus exclusive to our On The Bench listeners, you will get 10% off your next order by using the promo code OTB 2020 when ordering direct from Scale Modeler. So go now to www.scalemodeler.com.au and place your order. We know you won't be disappointed. Okay, and we're back. But before we get into listener mail, Julian's got some...
Yeah, so I've been looking at this Mercury spacecraft thing.
By Horizon Models?
Yeah, by Horizon Models.
Yep.
Actually, I was looking at the instructions, and the way it goes together is pretty good.
I know, it's really well thought out.
I mean, most other kits would just give you a cone for this cone shape, just one piece, a cone.
Yep.
But no, they actually broke it up into 3 sides, and they've done it so that it's like a circle, a flat circle on the bottom, and then a cylinder that runs up through the middle, and then you just put these 3 segments of the cone onto it, and there's no room for error, and they'll always align nicely.
Nice.
Yeah. That's how I would have designed it, but model companies usually cheap out and they don't give you that sort of solid basis underneath for you to get all the alignment correct.
Yes.
Or they cheap out and they don't do the molding on the outside because it's got all those like louvery looking or stuff or various sort of like line type things on it. Yeah.
Cool.
So it's good to see.
So you're going to get one?
I mean, look, I'd love to build it, but if I know that when it's finished...
Well, you can break Dave's fingers and build it for him.
No.
Because he won't be able to build that.
Actually, you know what? There's a spare one in there, so do you want to take one?
No.
Because I can build a different one. So there's 2 in that kit there.
I'll tell you what. If you want me to build it, I will build it for you, and you can put it in your cabinet. But otherwise, I'm not that interested in building it.
I just build it for me. That's like you getting me to. That's like asking you to cut my lunch.
Yeah, it's a hit and run, Because I don't want to. Like, I know, even though I kind of look at it and go, yeah, I want to get my hands on that. I know that when I finish it, I'm like, okay, it's a thing, and I'm not that tied to it like you are. Like you're passionate about this thing. I'm not.
So, the Mercury spacecraft, which is actually the capsule. Horizon Models, when they do this particular one, there's 2 kits included in the one box.
Oh, right, yeah.
So I'll build one, and then I'll give you the box and the kit, and you can build the other one.
There you go. There's a good deal.
I'm not. Even,
oh my God! You think I'm asking him to date his mother? Look at him, will you? Jeez.
Look, I'm not. Look, even this is just. It's basically just a whim. Just like, oh yeah, I'd like to, put my hands on your stuff and then just run off.
Don't be putting your hands on my stuff.
I don't care about this subject, right?
Wow.
I have an appreciation for all the space race type stuff, but when I look at this thing, it's a cone with a cell tower mounted on the top of it.
I'll build it, and you can look at it and go, ooh, how's that sound?
Yeah, go for it.
All right, done.
I mean, it just looks like it'd be fun to build because, see, I'm very attracted to model kits that go together well, even when I don't care about what the subject is. A lot of my interest in any of Meng's lineup comes
Mung.
from that. You know,
Mung.
mung, meng,
Mung.
whatever. I don't.
You're
care.
the one who told us it was pronounced mung.
I was passing on relevant information, and I don't care about it. Right? I'm a distributor of knowledge, and then I just run off.
Bugger off.
That point could be argued.
Yeah.
I like to distribute information. I like to make sure that everyone is aware of various things, and then they can do with that information whatever they please.
Yes.
Okay, we got some important news from Dennis Tennant, who's the IPMS USA National Secretary, and he sent us an email, which is some very sad news. And he writes, Dave, in case you haven't heard, the US Nationals have been cancelled for 2020. Please share this info with your listeners. We want to get the word out. If you want more information, you can go to the IPMS USA website, which is www.ipmsusa.org, and that is absolutely terrible news.
Well, I don't think there's a country that's actually having a model competition this year, is there?
No, well, it'll be interesting to see if Telford actually goes ahead. That's in
November.
Is it November?
I think it's November.
Well, it's around that time of the year, so yeah. But sorry to hear that, Dennis, and I know that you and your team put a lot of work into sort of preparing that. And I'm sure that you guys will bounce back and come back.
Of course they will.
Next year as good as ever. So, yeah. it's
No
a shame
virus
to
will
hear
beat
that.
us modelers.
No, absolutely. And Dennis also sent me another letter, and he says, Hiya, Dave and crew. Been a listener subscriber for a while now. Thank you for that. And wanted to let you know that I find your podcast to be a must-listen show when I'm at my bench here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Hey!
Is it the place where the cheese comes from, Wisconsin? It's known for their cheese?
I don't know.
I think it
Isn't
might
that
be.
Vermont?
No, I don't know. It's not. No, I think it's Wisconsin.
I don't know. I'm sure there's more than one state that likes cheese.
Oh, yeah, but I think that Wisconsin's known as a cheese state.
Look, honestly, it'd have to be one of the states that was founded by the Dutch, because if anyone likes cheese, it's the Dutch.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah, we Dutchies love our cheese.
Do they import much Swiss cheese then?
Dutch? No, we don't need to. We have Gouda.
Oh, they got their own cheese.
We got Edam. We got all sorts of. We got spicy cheese with the little,
all right.
little bits in it.
It's a scale model podcast, not a cheese podcast.
Anyway,
And on next week's Cheeses with Ian.
and Dennis continues, I recently moved here after living 28 years in Virginia.
Ah.
So add me to your list of Virginian letter-sending people. Now, if you recall, we were also talking about what we could call a group of modelers.
Yes.
And Dennis has also added to that, and he recommends that we say a gripe of builders, because let's face it, we aren't happy with anything.
A gripe of modelers.
That is good, isn't it?
We've heard a sprue of modelers, and now we've got a gripe of modelers.
Yeah, actually, we'll go into that in a sec. So
I
I'll
just-
just finish this off.
It really summons the idea of like a group of modelers, like white knuckle, sort of, really sort of salty about something.
Dennis continues, and I thought I'd add that bit to the fire. Keep up the great job and stay safe. And
Thank you.
Julian, don't change.
Yes,
Well,
Julian.
there you go.
Don't
I hadn't
change.
planned on it.
So we were saying, and we got some good feedback and some comments and thoughts as to what we could have a group of modelers called. And Aidan O'Donnell wrote, perhaps we should call it a sprue of modelers.
Yep.
That's not a bad idea. Flip Hendricks reckons a box of modelers.
A box of modelers, yeah.
I think it was Robert Booth said esoteric.
Ooh,
Esoteric, that's interesting.
I like that.
And who was it who suggested infestation? Was it you?
I don't know. It's probably you, given how much
It
you
wasn't
like it.
me. I wouldn't write
An
infestation.
infestation of modelers.
Oh, jeez. I don't know. Anyway. Next email is from a good friend of ours, John Marley, up in Queensland. And
g'day, John.
John's got a question. He says, I'm happy with his abilities of making kits, but I want to improve my weathering techniques. I've recently been using Vallejo Air on a couple of 1/72nd scale aircraft kits, most notably an Airfix BF109E and also a Supermarine Spitfire with the Daimler DB605 engine.
Oh, a captured one.
I've brought a tube of dark brown oil paint for the pin wash. Is there a preferred type of thinning agent that I should be using? If I use acrylic paints in the kit, should I then use non-acrylic washes?
Correct.
Could you briefly explain how this works? Cheers, Bob.
Well, what it is the if you're using acrylic paints, you use enamel washes because the enamel thinners will not react with the acrylic paint.
Correct. So it's
Whereas
the actual opposite.
Correct, yeah. Whereas if you try, as you've found out, using enamel paints once and then trying to use enamel washes and weathering products, it just takes the paint with it.
Yep.
Yeah, but I mean, like generally, as long as you use a different type.
But if he's going to be using oil paints, I'll make a suggestion: buy a tube of black and buy a tube of grey and buy a tube of white and buy a tube of green.
And what about umber, raw umber?
Well, he's already got the brown.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So you can always add a bit of black to darken that up.
And
when you're doing panel lines and washes, don't choose black. Never choose black on a panel line or a wash. Always go for a dark grey or a very, very dark brown because black is just too much.
Too stark.
Yeah. When I did my pin washes this morning on the Buffalo, I actually used the AK black, lamp black, and they've also got a wash for black aircraft, which is like a stone grey. So I mixed those two together and made this really, really dark grey, just a few shades lighter than black, and applied that, and it just looked perfect.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the sort of. A lot of car modelers will use a black wash to outline their doors and
so
things
forth,
like that.
Yeah.
It really
it's a
sort
bit
of,
much.
It's a bit too much. I mean, I get why they do it. They're using
trying
it
to do the
cover
shadow
up.
effect, yeah.
Yeah, they're trying to cover up like some of the imperfections that occur in those
what
areas.
I suggest in that case is to, if you're doing car models, is to try and make a rubbery black colour. Because that way at least you can say that's the rubber on the inside of the door. That helps seal it.
Yeah, but even that's not a true black.
No, that's what I mean. It's like a rubbery black, so you got to put a bit of blue in it.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I hope that helps you. And
any more questions? Don't hesitate to ask.
Wasn't his question though? The like, what do you thin down oil paints with?
Yeah.
Oil paints. I usually just used odorless thinners.
Yeah. Well, what do they call that? Mineral spirits.
Spirits. Yeah.
And I think from now, who does
mineral
the odorless
turpentine?
ones? Who does
the
odorless ones? That's
AK.
AK do that. Yeah.
Well, I imagine if you're in the US, you can get it in a big tin.
Oh yeah. It's just enamel thinners, really.
Yeah.
You're just buying it. The only difference is odorless thinners doesn't have the stink.
Well, some people reckon that it's got more stink because I know because you can still smell it.
Oh yeah, but it's not,
just a more agreeable smell.
You crack it. You crack open one of them, and then crack open a tin of normal enamel thinners, and there's a big difference in the smell. Yeah, huge.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let us know how you go with that.
Yeah.
If you've got any more questions, please drop us an email. It's great to hear from you.
Actually, going back to it, sorry, before you go to the next one, is when you're doing your washing, the good thing also with the using the enamel on the acrylic is occasionally you get a bit of bleed over the top of your panel line, where you originally dab your paintbrush. Sometimes if you're a bit heavy-handed, it can smear go over the panel line and get onto the paint job. And all you just need then is just get another brush, dip it in your thinners, and then just wick the old paint off, and it cleans up perfect. You don't even notice it was there.
One more point: don't go with the regular white if you can. There's a transparent white, and that is that's what people use for dot filters and things like that. So it works out really a lot better than just an actual white.
Correct.
Well, what oils do you guys recommend then?
I usually just use Winsor & Newton oil paints in the tube. But then again, you can go through, if you want to get the proper modelling stuff, you can buy the, who is it? They do a lot for the arm modellers.
Abtalung or whatever.
Abtalung, yeah.
Abtalung
they do,
big
they
range.
Do that. I think AK has the all brushes, what they call them, the little tubes.
Yeah.
With a brush already on them.
Isn't it? Is that MIG? Or is
could
that
be
AK?
MIG. Could be
I
MIG.
think it's MIG.
MIG, MIG oil brusher, yeah.
Yeah.
But as long as it's an oil paint,
yeah,
yep.
You should
I think
be right.
there's a few it's a bit of an slowly expanding sort of realm of weathering products as far as oil paints go.
But what I did is I just bought I think it was about 12 different colours of oil paints, and they're going to last me a lifetime. Because you only need like a tiny little bit. And once you mix, because it's thick and you want to really thin it out for a wash, so you thin the max out of it and you're laughing.
Yeah.
Cool. Finished?
I am now, yes. I'll get back off my little soapbox.
Xavier Perez writes in, hey guys, first off, I really dig the podcast.
Thank you.
Second, as for the naming of a group of modelers, if a group of crows is called a murder, then naturally a group of models should be called a nerder.
A nerder
of modelers.
A nerder of modelers.
That's clever.
That's very clever.
And that's from Xavier from the deep south of Texas.
Well done.
Right in the... That's just hang on. Deep in the heart of Texas.
No.
Dave, don't give up your day job.
Oh, come on, guys. I'm having fun.
Is that what they call it these days?
I frown upon your
Oh,
fun.
jeez. Okay, Matthew Cook writes in. And hello from West Michigan. I love your podcast and please keep it going. Not only do I find much useful information and great tips about the hobby, but you guys show the fun side of the hobby. Your show often makes me think of build meetings in my own club, which is the West Michigan IPMS, where I jokingly say we do a lot of talking and somebody glues a couple of pieces of plastic now and then.
That's a typical model club.
Actually, I wouldn't say it's a typical model club. I think it's a hallmark of a good model club.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
A good social club.
Yeah. I love your base podcast where you talk about bases. I tend to have a fixation on bases and feel that they are an integral part of many models, as when done properly, they enhance the model kit itself.
Oh, yeah.
Ideally, they can tell you something about the world it would exist in without being a diorama.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favourite tricks is to use textured paint on wooden bases to make them look less woodsy in order to help show a piece of the model's world. Most of my bases require some internal structure to be placed inside the model. Sometimes I use drilled out blocks and other times magnets are better. Often I'll run a stick up the exhaust pipes, i.e. like an aircraft, in order to provide some movement. And I could write several pages, but I don't want to bore you guys. I've included a couple of pictures to show you what I've mentioned. Keep up the great work, and I look forward to hearing more. That's from Matthew Cook in West Michigan.
Excellent.
Thanks for that. And thanks for the pictures too. They look really cool. Right. Then, oh, here we go. Sorry, I'm just
Dave's
trying to load.
being so professional here, isn't he?
Yeah, I am. Nigel wrote into me saying, "Hi Dave, I feel your pain with the Mini Art Dingo." In the end, I left many details off the vehicle as I figured my 85-year-old father-in-law's eyesight, it wouldn't be the sharpest. And you know what? That's exactly what I do with my Dingo. Some of the bits I just left off because I figured, dear old Dad at 92, he's not going to notice too much.
No.
The detail missing. So, thanks.
You'll hand it to him and he'll go, "What's that green blob you just gave me, David?"
It makes you wonder if like all the people who buy that kit only buy it to build it for someone else.
Owen Meyer writes in, and Owen comes from Simpsonville, Kentucky, which is right outside of Louisville. I wonder if he knows Dave and Michael from
Skull Mojo.
Yeah.
More than likely.
Anyway, Owen writes, firstly, I would like to thank you all for this wonderful resource you are providing the hobby. I recently discovered your podcast while in quarantine, and it has now become a staple of all the time I spend researching, building and painting. I've been building models for around 6 years, and my most recent kit has been a Tamiya M4A375 with Edward aftermarket set. And I thought Julian would be interested in some of those pictures of the Sherman he built there.
Nice.
I'm wondering if any of you have ever had any luck with Ammo MIG heavy chipping fluid. I've seen some modelers who can simply spray this over an unclear coated model, and yet when they begin the chipping process, they're able to keep the first paint coat in contact despite puddles of water and lack of protective clear. I've never been able to achieve this. Have any of you? Thank you for your advice and your service, Owen M. I've actually have used that chipping fluid, and so what we're talking about here is there's a technique that's known as the hairspray technique, where you put down a coat of paint, you spray some hairspray on top.
Or chipping fluid.
Or chipping fluid. But originally it was designed as hairspray. Then you put your next one on top, and then you get some water in a brush, and by rubbing it, it takes off the top coat, but preserves the bottom coat.
You've got to make sure the paint is not fully dry.
The top coat.
The top coat is not fully dry. So what it does is the water then absorbs through that, hits your hairspray or your chipping fluid, reacts with that and loosens it. Yep. So with the constant movement of a brush over the top, it's basically just tearing that top layer off.
Yep.
Yeah. But you don't have to use a brush. You can use anything.
You can use toothpicks. You can use toothbrush. You can use whatever you want. You can use your thumbnail. Myself, it does look really good, but myself, I prefer to just use a paintbrush because then I have control where my chips are going rather than just relying on where the chips, where they're going to actually fall off in random. But that's just my own personal feeling.
Well,
I prefer to use a brush.
I imagine
paint my chips on.
The more you get used to that technique, the more you can control it. And the random aspect is kind of what people are attracted to for it, right?
With armour, I reckon, yes. I'm all for it with armour, but with aircraft, I prefer to just use a paintbrush and paint.
I've actually used the AK chipping fluid. There's a light and there's a heavy.
Correct,
and,
yes.
I've had no issues with either one. Like you, Ian, I don't let the second coat on top that I want to slightly remove fully cure before I attack it with a paintbrush. I have found that where I have left the paint too long to cure, I've had to use a really stiff brush, which is mixed in with some water, and really get in and attack it to sort of get it to come off. So,
well, I remember the first time I ever tried that sort of method. We actually used, well, our American listeners would probably go, ew, and the only use for it would be Vegemite. Vegemite is like a Marmite. Our British listeners would know what Marmite is, but Vegemite's the Australian version. I know all Americans, as soon as they taste it, they go, "Oh, this is foul. How do you guys eat it?" We love it on warm toast. And I just applied that with a sponge.
Yeah.
And then when I put my main coat over the top, just before it dried, I hit it under some warm water and a soft brush, and it worked exactly the same. Just tiny little chips, all that just washed away.
I tried the chipping fluid thing once, and that was a very long time ago, and it didn't work because I didn't know that you had to a certain amount of time before you attack it.
So you let it dry too long.
Yeah, I'll let it properly dry.
It wasn't moving then, was it?
No, that was the wrong thing to do. But I didn't know any better.
Yeah.
So I'm scrubbing away on this thing, and I'm down to the plastic, and I'm well, that didn't work.
What I'd recommend for Owen to do is to get a sheet of styrene or get an old modelling mule.
Paint mule,
and actually just test the technique on different parts of the model. So if you've got an old tank, for example, on the right-hand side, or over the entire paint mule, do your base coat, then put on once that's fully dried, put on your chipping medium.
Yep.
And then paint the on top of that, the colour that you want to chip off, but on each side of the model, do it at different times so you can then get a good idea as to how long you should leave.
I know most people put at least 2 coats of chipping fluid down before they put the colour down.
No, I've never done one.
Yeah, a lot of people put 2 coats down before they put the colour on.
And I would also say, test out with test it along here side actual hairspray.
Yeah, that's a good idea, Julian.
Because the whole reason why there's a heavy chipping fluid and a light chipping fluid is because it supposedly changes like the size of the chips, right?
Yeah.
But different products, and it's like anything. You got to sort of trial and error your way through it. There's no shortcut.
Yeah, there's no let's just grab this product and it'll come out perfect first time. You've got to practice with it.
And Owen, that's a really good build of a Sherman tank too.
And I like the fact that you included the aerial.
A lot of people forget it, do they?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. because it like takes up more space, right?
What, the aerial?
Yeah.
What do you mean takes up space? It goes straight up.
Yeah, exactly. It goes straight up, and if you've got like lots of shelves, that are just above each other, they're like, oh well, I can fit more models in my cabinet if I just don't have the aerial in there.
There you go.
Yeah.
Or I might break it off, because like they don't have a cool springy one like mine.
No, what you do then is you just bend the aerial and tie it off, like some of them did.
But that in itself is a tricky thing to achieve. You got to have the right amount of tension on
Correct.
it. Has to be a bendable aerial.
Yep. True.
Michael Libero writes in, hey guys, just writing in regards to the previous episode where you were debating the future of brick and mortar stores. I have to admit, I'm the old school guy and prefer brick and mortar establishments. I grew up with literally down the street from a hobby shop. It was owned by a World War II 101st Airborne veteran and his son.
Wow.
I spent almost every day of my young life there and happy to report that it is still open. Shout out to Branford Hobbies in Branford, Connecticut. Thinking C2. Yes, Connecticut. And the owner, Mark Castiglione. His father, Frank, told us all kinds of amazing stories about dropping into Normandy and liberating Hitler's eagle's nest. He still has a piece of Hitler's fireplace that he bashed off with his BAR.
Good on him.
All this being said, I recently took a new position for work in a town that's unfamiliar to me. One day, while pretending to be gainfully engaged, I got Google out to see if there were any local shops nearby, and lo and behold, there was one 5 minutes from my parking spot.
Oh.
Lee's Toys and Hobbies. So, of course, I snuck off work early that day and enjoyed a good hour or so perusing the aisles. Another jewel of a shop and family run since 1952. I found the kit that I've been eyeing off online, and in a stroke of unimaginable luck, they also had the Edward PE sets in stock and also discounted.
Well, that's good.
That's a rare thing for a hobby shop to have photo etch stuff in stock.
Suffice to say that nothing beats the feeling of an old shop. They will be gone someday, but there are plenty of us, some older guys, that can keep them afloat for a few more
That's
years.
it. Too true.
Thanks for the podcast. Cheers from Mike Libero. There you go. Thanks, Michael, for actually putting that out. Yeah.
Because Dave can't pronounce names.
Yeah, English is my first language, and I have so much trouble with it. But I'm with Michael. I love hobby shops, and I love going down the aisles, and I love browsing in there, and God said
So we haven't done for a while, Dave.
Yeah, we haven't actually.
We haven't gone to pay our good mate Daryl a visit.
Yeah, but we got all this virus stuff. That's
Yeah, I know. We're not allowed to go anywhere. Bummer.
Also, he just bought a big pile of kits.
And
When's that stopped us? When has that stopped us,
should.
Julian? When has that stopped us?
Oh, jeez. Okay. Simon writes in from Queensland. Simon from sunny Queensland. I've done my homework for coming up with a term of a group of modelers. How about a flock of fiddlers?
A flock of fiddlers.
Cheers, guys, from Simon.
Fiddlers.
I'm going to stay away from that one.
Yeah, I think you can get in a bit of trouble with that one.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
The optics on that is just not... it's not the way we want to be represented, other things.
Yeah. Alan Gillis writes in, hi guys, I really appreciated the discussion you had around my comments about chip paints on fabric surfaces, and I totally agree with Ian's comments about it not being a shine. Silver dope is more of a matte aluminium finish, nothing like bare or polished metal surface. Also, when I've seen it in real life, it doesn't chip the same way paint does on metal surfaces.
Correct.
With
It's
regards
got better adhesion.
Yeah. With regards to Julian's comments, not that I can remember what you said,
No.
I'm wondering if he meant that he thought it looks wrong from the perspective of competition or from a personal aesthetic point of view. I'm just curious if that's something a judge would mark you down for.
I don't know
Julian
what I
can't
said,
remember.
so I can't really
Julian
address it.
can't remember. Julian can't remember.
I'm going to have to go back and have a look at that. And also, Alan sent in a few photos as well to sort of go along with it, showing a spad by the looks of it with the original colours. So,
Spad.
and
Which model Spad?
I don't know. It's got 2 wings and a prop at the front. Jeez.
Show us the photo of it, Dave.
All right.
That looks like that could be a Spad 13.
All right, there you go.
Hey, I love the front of those things. They just look so cool with that round radiator. So one thing I was bleeding that Wingnut Wings never bought out was a Spad 13.
Oh, someone will make one now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I hope so.
The thing is, that's the thing.
We'll talk a little bit about that during What's New. So, yeah. Interesting.
Right.
D writes in, hi guys, here's a suggestion for a collective noun for modelers. How about a sprue of modelers? Yes, I remember you
that's
actually...
two.
D actually wrote in, I think it was the same day we put the episode out, so she was right onto it. Also in episode 86, you guys were talking about jigs for different types of models. Do you know if there is one for individual track links?
Yes, there is.
I think there's maybe 1 or 2 out there.
I know there
It's really common for. I've seen like a few other models just go out and buy some balsa wood and just make.
You
one
can
up.
make one up yourself. Basically, all you want is something that's going to be long enough that you're going to be able to clamp together. So basically, like 2 bits of strip that you can clamp, so that you can gauge how wide. Well, basically, so what I'm trying to say is you're going to run your track links across the solid surface, and then push the other jig against it, so everything, once you glue it together, is all nice and straight.
Another way I've seen it done is like essentially like 2 long strips of wood, or rather just one with a trench cut down the middle of it for the guide horns to drop into.
So D writes, at present I'm just lining the links up against a ruler, but when I come to the curves around the drive wheels, I'm having real problems.
There's no jig that's going to be able to do that when it curves upwards.
There's no jig. There's no universal jig. Some model kits come with a jig in plastic, and you're supposed to use that, but I probably wouldn't even use that.
I've got a couple of kits at home that they've got like a jig for the top set of tracks, so you can actually get the right sag.
Well, here's how I do it. I just line them all up against your ruler, glue them all up, wait 10 minutes, then lift it all off, and it should have enough strength in it then
to hold it together.
To hold itself together, but it'll still be bendable, right? And then you can just put it on, wrap it around.
Yep.
It's the easiest way, I think.
It's mainly to stop your links from being on like a 30 or a 20 degree angle and being all over the shop. You basically you want to say it's nice and straight, so it's semi-pliable.
I get it, because if someone hasn't done like armor kits before, they sort of think, well, how do you do that? I mean, it's like you got like these track links and they're all hanging in the air, and you need to glue one on, position it to whatever angle it needs to be at, and then wait a while, and then glue another one on. It's like no.
Funny you should say that. It's the first time I ever did that. It took me forever.
I love doing individual links. I love it.
You do, don't you?
Yeah, I don't know.
Really, you have a real passion for that.
Yeah, it's just...
It's one of those things you turn your brain off and just do it.
Yeah, put a podcast on and just sit there and just go click, snap, click, snap, click, snap. And,
at some point you should do like an older tank that has the track sag.
Well, I've got an M113. I've got about 4 of them that I'm building. And I've got that NASA one that which is actually a shelf coin which I'm going to pull down, because I was waiting on some decals which have arrived, and I think I've spoken about that before.
Yes, yeah.
So anyway, that's got a track sag in it. So yeah.
No, I mean like real track sag. You
know, there's a real sag on them M113s.
No, like I'm talking like the old Russian tanks that drive so slow that the track sag doesn't matter. You know, they're like big. You know, it's like a clothesline. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, the old Russian clunkers.
Yeah.
I remember hearing a story about when the Germans first saw the T-34s and go past, and they actually could physically see the turret bouncing on the chassis, and they're going, "Oh, geez, look at these things! They're just loosely held together." And then you look at our stuff, our German stuff, all finely engineered, everything to the minute tolerances. Oh, it's all perfect, nothing squeaks, and then winter hit. Everything German froze up, and the Russian stuff kept going.
Thanks, DD, and thanks for writing in. So that's wonderful. Now,
Dave's got another one.
I do. Paul Brown. G'day all. Hope the pre-podcast breakfasts are not affecting the waistlines too much.
No.
Well, actually, I've put on so much weight since I've been working from home.
I've lost so much weight.
Yeah, but
since
you're
my
not
new
working
job.
from home.
Oh, since my new job. Oy, oy, oy.
I reckon I put on 4 kilos since Christmas.
Oh, mate, I must have lost at least 10.
Yeah, right, you say.
Oh, this is great. It's like you're putting on weight, you're losing weight, and I'm still the same.
Yeah,
It's
right.
like the full spectrum.
Yeah, both of you shut up. Paul's right. So I have taken some advice you gave in reference to my Dayglow masking issue from my Meteor from a few episodes back.
I recall that.
The lockdown on the UK is starting to ease, but the recent figures reported by Hornby, who own Airfix, have reported an increase of 12.5% in profits, which shows that Hornby has prospered, and hopefully this will translate into improved tooling for new models.
I doubt it.
Anyway, back to the name for a collective of modelers.
But I doubt everything. That's just me.
And Paul also believes a sprue of modelers. Sprue
So
carries
that's
the
3.
parts and helps support them until the sum of parts become one. You're welcome. Keep up the good work and keep away from the Lamingtons. Keep safe. That's Paul Brand from Malmesbury, which is the first capital of the UK in
Roman
Wiltshire.
times. Yes.
Bullshit.
There you go. Wiltshire?
Wiltshire.
Wiltshire, yeah, righto.
So keep up the Lamingtons, Dave.
Yeah, so I don't...
No, look, Dave's not fat, you know. He's not fat. It's just because if he puts on motorcycle leathers, he looks like an olive.
It looks like an olive? Is this a common saying that I'm not aware of?
Oh,
Wow.
oh, jeez.
You're insulting him in public. Wow.
You know, I'm used to it. It's
He's
okay.
used
I've got
to it.
broad shoulders.
Yes.
Brendan
Has to hold up that head.
Wow.
Brandon Walters from Ontario, Canada writes in, hello benches, great episode as always. In the last mailbag, you had a fellow asking about buying an aircraft jig online. I highly recommend looking into 3D printer options. His library, before lockdown, actually had a 3D printer that you could use if the job was less than 2 hours. And he actually cranked out a aircraft jig for free.
Oh, nice.
Great thing about 3D jigs is that with some basic knowledge and free software, you can modify the arms, length and size of the jig as you need it. That's cheers from Brandon in Ontario.
That's a handy thing to have. Because I design my own little jig. That works great.
Of course, and Paul K also wrote in, and Paul also said a group of modelers is a sprue or a kit of modelers. A sprue of modelers, a kit of modelers, or for fun, a Julian of modelers.
Listen here. All right.
Julian of models.
This weird worship of this, public version of myself is getting kind of weird.
It's not getting weird. People love
It's
you.
getting weird,
Yeah,
man.
I've had you heard of the email before.
Well,
Julian, don't change.
Look, by all means,
We all love Julian.
By all means, continue to play with it because it's a good running joke. But
It's just
a little
weirding
bit
him
weird.
out. It's
You wouldn't
weird.
be comfortable being a demigod, would you? With people kowtowing before you.
God, wouldn't that be wonderful?
if I was a demigod, I wouldn't be the kind of god that'd be out in public. I'd be the kind that's manipulating governments and things behind the scenes. You know, kidnapping people off the street, indoctrinating them in the ways of scale modelling.
Oh, jeez. Well, that's it for our mailbag. And, of course, if you want to write into us, we love hearing from you. You can send us an email to onthebench64@gmail.com. We generally read out all of them, and I obviously don't read out the ones that you don't ask to be read out for various reasons, but love hearing from you, and please keep up the hero worship of Julian.
Yes.
Let's take a short break, and we'll be back shortly. Fine Scale Modeller is the world's most recognised and essential magazine for modellers, and is available in all good newsagents and newsstands, or wherever you purchase your magazines. Alternatively, go to their website www.finescale.com and subscribe to either a print edition or their digital edition. Go now. Go to www.finescale.com. Okay, and we're back, and we're going to have a look at what's new in the modelling world, and we've got a bit to talk about.
Yes.
First of all, let us have a chat about the news from Mung, who are doing the 132nd scale Forker triplane. And didn't this kick up a stir on the internet? Because when we all had a look at it, it turns out it is a Wingnut Wings kit.
Yes. Which makes you think, who was the company that was doing all the moulding for Wingnut Wings?
We actually have it confirmed because if you recall, we spoke with, was it Dave Johnson? From who used to work for Wingnut Wings in our last episode. And he spoke to the guy who actually did the CAD drawings, who confirmed that the CAD drawings were indeed his. And we have now also seen some pictures of the sprue shots, and it is Wingnut Wings kit right down to the
bare bones.
Bare bones, and there's no two ways about that, which is great news for everybody, of course, who likes their World War I aircraft. So,
and especially the DR1, such an iconic plane.
Oh, yeah, I know. So the only hope we've got is that the instructions that will come with this kit will be of the same quality as Wingnut Wings, as well as also their aftermarket support, because that's the next one. But having built a Mung kit, which was an armour kit, which one was it I built? I can't remember now. But it was a great kit. It really went together really well. So
yeah, apparently their engineering's really spot on.
Really? You built one of their kits?
Yeah, I have.
Was it the mouse?
It's a mouse.
No, that's a TACM kit.
Oh, it
that
is
was
a TACM
TACM.
kit.
So you haven't built one of theirs?
Hang on. Wait a minute. Wait. I'm just going through my mind.
You haven't built that many armor kits, have you?
Yeah. What
Like,
was
not
that?
enough for you to forget which
What
ones.
was that? What was that Polish one? That Polish...
That's also TACM.
Yeah.
Oh.
So you haven't built a Mung kit?
Huh.
Well, you probably should at some point. They do a Leopard 1. They do a Leopard 2. Although it's one of their older kits, so it's not as nice.
You're right. I've got the Leopard 1 in my stash because I want to do an Aussie Leopard.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, I haven't built one yet. Yes. I knew I had one, though.
But it makes you think, what else is Mung going to be bringing out?
Well, yeah. I mean, and, you know...
Well, to be honest, outside of their armor kits, they're all over the place.
Yeah,
They got like a ship here, a car there.
They also did I'm pretty sure they did a 132nd scale Messerschmitt 163 Comet.
Yes, that's right.
So this is their second 132nd scale aircraft. It's a DR1.
Yes.
Part of their pterodactyl range, because it looks like it's got a pterodactyl on the box.
Yeah, they got this weird name convention for all their different lines of vehicles.
Yeah.
But this has opened up a bit of a crack into the door of what used to be Wingnut Wings, where some people are speculating, well, if this was originally a Wingnut Wings kit and they were doing the moulds for Wingnut Wings, then are the moulds still residing with Mung?
Probably.
And does that mean that Mung will be continuing under license to build the existing back catalogue of Wingnut Wings kits?
My main interest is what will be what will be the pricing of these?
That's a good question.
That is a good question. I'm trying to remember. Are Mung kits overpriced?
No,
they're definitely sort of in the premium category.
In the premium, so they're not like stupidly priced, but they're not like super cheap.
Well, I think the Leopard tank that cost me about it's about $90.
Right. So you'd be probably looking what, 120
Yeah.
Aussie for the DR1.
Look, it's not uncommon for one of their kits to be 100 plus, right? But no one really, like, maybe the cheapskates won't go for it, obviously.
Not
but
cheap. We're not talking cheap. We're talking people who can't afford it.
Most of the time, the people who go for one of their kits know that they're getting their money's worth.
Yeah. They know what they're buying.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like the overpriced sort of trumpeter kits that come out nowadays.
Or Dragon.
Yeah. And where everyone knows that.
Don't get me started on Dragon. Dragon used to be one of my favourite companies. Not anymore.
Hot on the heels of the announcement of that one is also the announcement from Mung about a special edition 10th scale resin bust of...
Manfred von Richthofen.
Thank you. Now, this is an interesting thing to sort of go with it, is it not?
Well, not
One
really,
10
because I
scale's
remember
large.
going back to Dragon, when they originally did their 148 scale World War One aircraft range, some of them came out with busts as well, 120 scale busts.
To be honest, I think the fact that some of the Eduard kits come with was it like 1/4, like 1:4 scale, or
instrument panels.
The instrument panels. It's
Yeah.
like,
I thought that was a great idea. I love them. I would have bought one of them.
it strikes me as weird. I
No,
mean, like of all the things,
no.
of all the parts, like to be honest, I think you would be better off selling like a really large scale motor out of one of those planes.
A motor?
Yeah, like imagine like a like say 1/18th or 1/24th scale engine of like like the Daimler Benz DB601 or something like that, and it just sits on an engine stand.
Packard Merlin or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, that's something that's cool. You look at it and you're like, oh, look at that engine, you know?
Yeah.
It's a beast.
Horsepower, grunt.
Yeah, but instead like an instrument panel, well, it's a bunch of gauges.
Yeah. But each instrument panel's different for the aircraft, so...
Yeah, I know.
See,
But
and
so are engines, though.
And there's a small group out there who actually build and collect joysticks
Yes.
from aircraft.
Yeah.
And, they do...
I know you can get one for the Focke-Wulf 190.
Yeah, and you get one for Mirage, the Mirage 3. You can get one for the F10, the Thunder Chief.
Oh, so if you've got an F-103, you can sit there and close your eyes and pretend you're going to shoot yourself down.
Probably.
Like the Australian guy did. The RAAF pilot shot himself down in his Mirage.
What?
Yeah, he was doing ground strafing
Yeah.
and ricochet back up through the engine.
Oh, jeez.
There's a YouTube channel called the History Guy, and he's got one of his episodes on people who have managed to shoot themselves down, and some of the stories are quite. Like, remember one was, I think it was a shooting star, an F-80 pilot, and he was doing some gunnery practice, and he shot and then dropped his altitude and put his nose down and actually caught up with his shells and shot himself down.
I remember reading about that or hearing about that. Yeah.
Now, how do you explain that?
I mean, to be honest, it doesn't surprise me. Have you ever seen that video on the internet where there's some guy and he's got like a relatively big like anti-tank rifle? Not an anti-tank, it's like a Barrett, one of those 50 cal anti-material rifles. And he fires it at something solid and steel, and it bounces back, and it takes the earmuffs off him.
Really?
Seriously? Wow.
That's lucky.
Yeah.
Couple inches either way, one way, and he would have been.
You can just hear
out
it
of
go, bing, and then you can hear the like that as it comes up and just clips that off. It just cuts him off, cuts the bloody earmuffs right off his head, and he's like, "Well, I'm not doing that again."
Well, that's like they say. We've seen that one with that idiot who's got the 50 cal sniper rifle and decides to shoot it through his car. He has both the passenger and the driver's window open. He's like resting it against the door, shooting at a target through. Fires a gun and shatters every window in his car. What an idiot!
But I mean, like, the thing about this one where it gets his earmuffs is that or his hearing protection or whatever. It's the look on his face and the way he walks away from it is immediately like every guy who's ever like made a mistake while using a power tool or something. Going, oh, okay, I'm gonna take 5. It's like I've seen another one where this guy's using a chainsaw against a ceiling.
Yeah,
And it kicks up and nearly touches his head.
that'd do damage.
And you're like, whoop!
Chainsaws
And then
are
you
messy.
see like in that immediately, whoop! I'm just gonna put that down and I'm just
walking
gonna
away.
go.
I'm gonna go inside,
Lean
and
against the tree and sweat a whole lot and
or actually go back inside and change my underwear.
Hobby Boss have got 2 new releases for May. The first one is in 1/35th scale. It's a German 3.7 centimetre Pack 35/36 Panzerkampfwagen.
Ooh, I don't think I've got something like that. Oh no, I don't have anything. I'll have to get one of them.
so the bottom
Yes.
is a
It's a
French tank.
Yes,
Correct,
it's
yes.
a Renault.
So it's a Renault R35, and the Germans just gone and whacked a 37mm anti-tank gun on top of it. Which, the Germans, after they went into France, they pretty much took every vehicle out of France and
Same as Czechoslovakia.
and sent it back to Germany and repurposed it.
Yeah.
So there you go. They make an interesting little thing, actually.
It would,
wouldn't
yeah.
it?
Well, it'd be,
Well,
go nicely in my German Panzerjäger collection.
You know what? our good friend Robert, who builds French tanks,
Mm-hmm.
he would have to get this because technically it's a French tank, and he only builds French tanks that saw action. So you'd have to build this because technically it's a French tank that saw action.
No, you know why?
Why?
Because it's inaccurate.
Why is it inaccurate?
Because anything less than accurate, he can't let it slide.
How do we know this is inaccurate?
Because otherwise he would have bought it.
I don't know, but this is brand new, so he wouldn't.
No,
have known
because
about
they've
it.
had one before this. If you scroll down a little bit, there's one with a different like upper casemate kind of thing for it.
Right.
And yeah, that's been around for a little while now. And not to mention, Hobby Boss also sold just the actual French tank version with the turret and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And he hasn't bought that because it's inaccurate.
Robert needs to take a deep breath, I think.
Yep.
No, I love it. It's an endless source of amusement for me. I was just talking to him last night, and he was making some Russian armored car.
Yep.
You know, the ones that's sort of like 6-wheeled and it's got like a turret, like a tank, small
Yes, I
early
know.
tank
Yeah,
turret on
yeah.
top. Yeah, and that was all going well for him until he found he did a little bit of reading, and that was just enough to because he didn't care that much about the subject, I don't think, until he read that the entire sort of top of it is a little too narrow, and then he couldn't leave it alone. He had to like widen the whole thing. He had to cut it down the center and then splice in some plastic and blah blah blah, whatever it is that he had to do.
And yet the average punter would never notice.
Yep.
That's
But
right.
he knows,
Yeah.
and that's why he fixed it.
Next up from Hobby Boss is a Su-27 Flanker B in the Russian Knights livery. This is in 1/48 scale. A lot of people crack on about how the Flanker is such a really great aircraft. And given it looks good, it does well.
I'm
at
pretty
air
sure I've
shows.
seen one of them do. They do the Cobra Strike, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, I've
yeah,
seen
yeah.
one of them at the Avalon Air Show many years ago when Ivan decided to fly. It was a weird air show because they had everything mapped out, times when people would be flying different aircraft, but then once in a while Ivan would go, "It's my turn to fly." And he'd just jump in whatever Russian plane was there and just take off and just ruin everything else. And I was like, I remember the one time the announcers going, "Oh, we got some rah-rahs coming over." And, oh, no. I was like, Ivan's out again. And there's Ivan cruising around either the big Antonov, because they had one of those huge Antonov transport planes down there. He's flying that around or doing the Cobra Strike in the Su-27. And I've got to say, if you see, watching a Cobra Strike is an amazing thing to watch.
Very impressive to watch. Looks great at air shows. Not too sure how it would go in combat.
I don't know, but you think you got someone right up your 6 and all of a sudden you pull that manoeuvre, the next note they're right in front of you.
If you've got somebody right up your 6, then you've already lost the battle.
pretty
Well,
much, yeah.
It's more of a testament to the pilot's skill, isn't it?
Oh, and the aircraft's capability as well.
There's a few videos out there on the internet of American pilots who, when they saw that maneuver done for the first time, their reaction was, "I wouldn't want to go up against that guy."
Mm.
Yeah, but I maintain that if you are that close to allow a Russian pilot to do a Cobra Strike on you, you deserve to get shot down. 'Cause you shouldn't have been in that situation in the first place.
No, it's not a tactical maneuver. It's a testament to skill.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you're like,
Yeah.
it's just like if you're a martial artist and you're up against some guy who can do like I know, like the bicycle kick from Mortal Kombat. You're like, I think I'll sit down now.
Yeah, but see, I'd be like Indiana Jones, and just pull a pistol out and shoot him.
Anyway, back to scale models.
Back to scale model. Okay, so that's it from Hobby Boss. Let's have a look now at Amusing Hobby, who have announced a 1/35th scale British Centurion Mark V.
Oh,
Is this a real tank?
Yes.
Yeah.
What are they
absolutely.
doing? Because real tanks aren't normally their thing.
What?
Oh, amusing hobby, you
Amusing
mean?
Hobby, yeah.
Yeah, I'm using hobby normally do paper panzers and
Yeah.
other sort of
Well,
1946 sort of
It's
stuff.
interesting. So it would have to be the Centurion. It just missed out in World War II. I think it was just still in design phase, perhaps a prototype when it came out. But certainly it was a main battle tank for a lot of Commonwealth forces as well as the Israelis.
Dutchies had them.
A lot of Europeans through the 50s, 60s, and even pushing into the 70s. And England or Britain certainly learnt their lessons from the Second World War when they built and developed this tank. Look, it's interesting that they're chosen to do this one. So
Don't you have a Centurion kit?
I do. It's not an amusing hobby one. I can't think of the name of the one I'm doing. It's driving me nuts at the moment.
Yeah, that's the AFV club one. I've
Yeah.
got the same kit.
I've got ill-fitting parts.
Yeah, I've heard of people giving up on that kit.
Well, you know what? I'm very close to that.
Oh, I'll get one
Like-
of these then.
Dedicated armor modelers giving up on that kit.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm very close because I'm having so many fit issues with it that it's just driving me nuts. So I might have a close look at this. And
That's what I mean. I mean, the existing kit is a pretty poor show.
so here we go. The Centurion was exported to numerous countries, including Canada, Denmark, Israel, and South Africa. I never knew they had it. Yeah, very cool. I'm definitely in the market for this. No two ways about it. If I can do it for an Australian Army version in Vietnam, I'll be right there.
Well, isn't the sort of sticking point the fact that this particular kit doesn't have the canvas cover on the manlet?
Yeah, but I've got an aftermarket one that I can just cut.
And I've got a spare aftermarket one because I accidentally bought two.
Well, you know what? The turret on the AFE club is all right. That's not the issue. So I could probably just swap the turrets out.
Maybe.
Damn, I'm good.
Actually, Dave, if you were good, you wouldn't have to worry about having another kit.
All right. Okay. I'll rephrase it. Damn, I'm clever.
Okay, so at this is as good a time as any. Before we took our break, you slipped in that little comment about hero worship and stuff, right? I would like to point out that not only have you just pat yourself on the back, you were also patting yourself on the back for having cooked a very good breakfast earlier.
Yes, I did cook an excellent breakfast.
It was a
earlier.
good breakfast, I have to admit, yes. I had second helpings.
I think you need to deflate your head a little bit.
Did you not know that I'm the number one ticket holder in the Dave Goldfinch fan club?
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yes, the one and only ticket holder.
I don't know. Michelle cheers me on now and again.
Is that what they call it these days?
From Trumpeter, we have 4 announcements for July. The first one is the Chinese J-20 Mighty Dragon in 1/48 scale. It's a single-seat, twin-engined aircraft, which is bigger and heavier than the Sukhoi T-50.
It looks like a rip-off of the YF-22, doesn't it?
You know what it looks like? It looks like a rip-off from... what is that movie with Clint Eastwood where he had to steal that Russian plane?
Nah, that was totally different.
Firefox. Or...
Firefox is much longer and skinnier than that.
Yeah, but...
But didn't it was longer and skinnier, but it did have the canards out the front.
It looks very similar. Interesting aircraft.
Just look at the side profile. It looks like a YF-22.
Yeah.
Yeah, but all these new gen fighters are going to look the same.
All look identical.
And
It's like modern cars. They look the same.
That's where people say that, people say, it looks like it's just a rip-off, but there's only so many ways you can design a bike, At the end of the day, it's going to have 2 wheels and some pedals somewhere.
Yes.
That's right.
Unless you've got a tricycle or a unicycle.
Yes, but still...
Yeah, but isn't it like
fundamentally,
that's like the F-35. It's got the one engine at the rear rather than 2.
Yeah.
So that's the unicycle of the the modern aircraft world, isn't it? And then
So what? Every time you see one of those, all you can think is.
in 1/35 scale, Trumpeter bringing out a T-80UE-1 MBT.
It's a pretty cool looking tank, isn't it?
but a lot of the tanks look nice when they're dirtied up and in combat and doing their thing.
If you like your Russian armour, you're going to enjoy building this one, I think.
Yeah, one of them comes with a real nice camouflage scheme too.
It does come with a very nice camouflage.
Lots of sprues.
I don't know what the part count is, but it looks total of 33 sprues. Lower
Hull and turret.
Yeah, consists of over 1,260 parts, of which 192 of those are individual track links.
Wow, so
Gee,
it's
that's
still a lot of parts.
Huge part count.
Yeah, if you look at the tracks, right? So it's got individual guide horns.
Yes.
Because if you look at the Russian guide horns, they're hollow.
Yes, that's right.
Oh, that'd be... Even I have to admit that'd be painful gluing them together.
Yeah, but I mean it's a distinctive part of the Russian style tracks.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, very true.
you got to get it right.
Very true. And, of course, you got some photo etch to go with it.
Actually,
as
it's
well.
a decent photo etch sheet too, by the looks of
Yeah.
it. It's got a fair bit on there.
Next in 1/350 scale, we have the SMS Viribus Unitus.
Unitus.
Unitas.
Yes,
It's
which
an
is
Austro-Hungarian
yeah.
dreadnought battleship
From World War
of
One.
the Teganov class,
Yes.
which means and Viribus Unitus or Unitus means with united forces.
Oh, that was the personal motto of Emperor Franz Joseph I.
There you go. How's that?
I like the front on those. Oh, look at that hull. That looks pretty.
Yeah, it's a nice light green colour too.
The Austrian-Hungarian Navy tended to use a green for their anti-fouling, and so it's quite a striking sort of look. So you get the upper parts of the ship were grey. You've got your boot line, which is red in this case, and then the anti-fouling on the bottom of the hull is a nice, beautiful green colour.
You know what's green?
No, tell me why it's green.
Copper.
Ah, the copper mixed in with
They
it?
mix copper with it, and the reason they put it on there is to stop all the barnacles and that from growing on your hull.
Oh yeah.
That's what they're.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of them other ones are red too. It's that copper.
I would consider buying this kit.
Would you
Yeah.
really?
I like that it's got the two towers like up high,
Yes.
and the different coloured below the waterline colour than the usual red appeals to me. And I like the backwards sloping bow.
Yes.
The rigging on this would be extremely detailed.
Yeah.
You'd have to be very comfortable doing rigging.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not like a matter of being comfortable or not. It's just like it's what you have to do to get a ship that looks that certain way.
Yep.
It's like after I bought my Fokker D7, I was kind of disappointed that it didn't have more rigging.
Yeah, it's only got the 2 bits of rigging
Yeah, I
underneath.
mean, on
the
one hand, it's
undercarriage.
easy, but on the other hand, it's the least World War One looking biplane you can think of.
Well, then you got the Junkers that I've got, that monoplane. That I don't think that's got any rigging.
It's got none.
No, it's just corrugated metal.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of like if you've only got one, going to have one wing nut wings kit on your shelf, then you should probably go for one that looks properly World War One-ish, rather than one that only looks a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what? I'd be happy to buy this also and build this. And
Yeah, it looks pretty cool, doesn't it?
Because it does look very cool. Nice shape to it. The parts count's not too bad. It's 480 with a total of 12 sprues and deck. And it comes at about just a shade under half a metre in length. So,
Dave,
yeah.
I know you like modern ships, right?
Yeah.
Would it be fair to say that you're not that enthused by World War II ships, but you'll be happy to do anything on either side?
No, I've got a couple of World War II ships. I've got it's not the Fletcher, it's the Benson, USS Benson.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a Japanese cruiser that I built.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you're not that into World War II ships,
I
are
am.
you?
Yeah. I like anything post sale.
Oh, everything past, yeah.
Yeah. I don't like
Because the
anything-
oldest ship model I've got, actually it's a submarine, is a Turkish submarine from 1887.
Would you
What
do a
was the
model of that submarine that looks like a barrel?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
I would
I-
love to do
yeah.
that. Or the Hunley.
Yeah.
Some of
The
those
Huntley.
early Civil War submarines, but you can't get them in 1350.
Yeah.
No,
is
of
a
course not.
But then again, the barrel, the turtle, I think it was called the turtle.
was, yes.
That would be freaking tiny in 1 to 350.
No, you wanted to get it in a huge scale, like 1 to
You
24
can
or
get it.
something.
There is a kit.
Yeah.
I think it's either 135th or 148th scale. Or
Yeah, you
something
can
like
buy the
that.
turtle, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is really insane when you look inside it. You've got a crank handle to move.
You got two crank handles.
Yeah, you can move the propeller. And you didn't have a torpedo, you had a drill. So basically you just snuck up to a ship and drilled a hole. Whereas the Hunley, they had like a long pole with a charge on the end of it. And that's what I think that's
Called
what
torpedo.
well, even though it was affixed to the front of the
Yeah,
submarine.
yeah.
But they reckon that's what killed them.
Yes.
Because the percussion.
Yeah.
They didn't realise about the percussion underwater would be 4 or 5 times more than it would be above ground. And basically just knocked everyone out.
And they perished, unfortunately.
Yeah. and because they found it when they raised it, they found all the bodies were at their stations. So it was instantaneous, bang. So we're digressing. Yes. So next is a Maz 7410 tractor.
Trumpeter are continuing with their line of tractors, and they've got the one base kit, and it is pumping out a whole different range of models that was.
And you
based
can
on this
really
particular
tell
track.
that the actual the tractor part of that model kit was actually designed for
Multiple
missiles.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Missiles.
Oh, yeah, because
So
it's
you
got
look
the
at
great big gap down
Yeah,
the
the
center.
big split in the middle of the cab.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense. You know, you got your decent sort of truck or tractor, so why not just whack things on the back of it? So
Yeah.
this one comes with a what's that bit there?
The trailer.
Semi-trailer.
Thank you, to whack tanks on and all that sort of stuff. So it can be a artillery or tank
tank transporter.
or whatever you want it to be. Yeah.
But those things to me, I just look at them and I just think that if you ever got one of those, I'd sci-fi it out. I'd turn it into something science fiction, like a moon buggy or something.
Looks like something that Jerry Anderson had built.
Yeah.
Yeah. Doesn't it?
Something the Thunderbirds would have to pull out of a ditch.
And I think that's it from Trumpeter. Now, the next one I need to have a chat about is KLP Publishing. My good friend Kevin Footer sent me some examples, some copies of their digital books that they do. Now, they do... Let me take a step back. So, KLP Publishing, they're mainly for large-scale aircraft, and the featured digital books are on building different types of aircraft. So they're building the Revell P-51D, building of the Heinkel 219, building of the Focke-Wulf 189, building a Spitfire racing kit in 1/18th scale.
I remember that 1/18th scale. I watched that. That was being built by one of the guys on Hyperscale. And I remember just every time he'd post, and just the amount of work this guy put in. Like, he spun the whole aircraft with aluminium.
Yeah.
And it is amazing build, that Spitfire.
They've also got a electronic book on building the wingnut wings AEG GIV in 32nd scale, building the bird dog in 1/32nd scale.
That bird dog is done by one of the Australian
Yeah,
lads,
it is. And actually building a Sabre in 1/32nd scale.
which is the same guy.
So Kevin actually gave me a copy of the Bird Dog, the Spitfire, and I think it was the Wingnut Wings kit as well. And I had a look through the Spitfire one, and it's like 130 pages.
Oh, yeah, it's full on. The guy's gone bananas on it.
And no, but the actual books themselves that you get, so they got... First section comes with a detail of the actual aircraft. Then it comes with a build log of the guys actually gone through and built it, and in super detail as to actually what you do at each point. And then the last 20 odd pages or so are detailed photos of the actual model finished. It's like a walk around of the model when it's finished. And I'm just blown away by the cost of these ebooks, because they're only about like $12 depending on which one you get. And there's just so much detail in there, and it's a fantastic guide if you've got that particular aircraft, or indeed, even if you're building a P-51D, for example, even though the ebook talks about the Revell 1/32nd scale, some of the building processes and the colour you could call across to a 1/72nd scale or a 1/48 scale one build as well. So highly recommend you go and have a look at that. So it's KLP Publishing. klp.com.au, and the most recent one, there is also a building of the Zukimura KI-45, which is in 1/32nd scale as well. So go across and have a look
Very
at that.
cool.
Yeah. Have you guys got anything new before I jump on and have a look at what the Falcon has sent us?
No, the only new thing was I got the new P-51D Mustang. But I have heard and has been confirmed that Edward will be releasing another P-51D Mustang boxing, and that will be called Tales from Iwo Jima, which I'm really looking forward to getting my hands on.
We were talking about that. It's the black tails and that, wasn't it?
It's all like the green, the green. Or there's one squadron that had like 45-degree angle blue and white, blue stripes.
Yep.
On the rear third of the aircraft, which looks really cool.
Yeah.
So all these Pacific War P-51s, spot on.
Very cool.
Very happy.
Okay, so the Falcon sent in his usual what's new? And first off in the aircraft category, he writes, Edward have released details of their upcoming new tool Spitfire Mark 1. First release will be a limited edition dual combo kit, as Edward tend to do. It will come with pre-painted photo etch and painting masks, plus a resin figure of Douglas Bader. And
Does it come with detachable legs?
well, that's what the Falcon was musing about. I wonder if his legs will be supplied as photo etch parts.
Oh no, it just comes as one of the old-fashioned figures you would put in the old 72nd scale kits that don't have legs. It's just like you just mount him on a stick inside the cockpit.
It just cracks me up, with especially the Douglas Bader story. Like when he got shot down, he was captured in Germany, or I think it was in France or Germany where he was captured, and he lost his legs in the crash. So the Germans got in hold of the British and asked, can you please send some replacement legs? Because they quite liked Douglas Bader. He got along quite well with all the German pilots. And yeah, we'll do that. So they used Wellingtons and they dropped some legs over and then proceeded to bomb the crap out of everything in the process. And then I think he had his legs taken off him when he tried to escape.
He tried to escape. Did he end up in Colditz?
Oh, he might have. But I remember they confiscated his legs to try and stop him from escaping.
Trying to run away.
Yeah.
Or hobble away.
Hobble away, yeah. But what a legend, mate. Imagine that.
Geez, that
like some of those guys, like you even see the one-eyed pilots. And it's like, guys are incredible back then.
Isn't that kind of like straight out of sort of like Pulp Fiction kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Like the one-eyed pilot.
Yeah.
And then he becomes like a motorbike gang leader or something after the war.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah. Apparently there are going to be 10 marking options for this Spitfire Mark 1. There's going to be 4 types of propellers, 5 types of canopies, and 2 different fuselages will be supplied, which makes it quite an impressive package. Also, Edwards 148 scale Moraine
Saulnier.
Thank you, Saulnier N is making a welcome return in the form of a new profile pack to be released in July. IBG models impressive 132nd PZL P.11C will be available in new boxing featuring Romanian markings. Micromere are showing CAD renders of a new version of their 148 scale Fokker G1 Jack Cruiser. I don't know what that one is. The kit will represent the Swedish S-13 reconnaissance type, which has a prominent gondola in the belly. 18 were ordered, but the German invasion in 1940 meant that none were actually delivered. I'll have to look that up and see what that looks like. Copper State Models have announced a new boxing of their 132nd scale Newport 23. This one will feature aircraft in the Royal Flying Corps service, which has some very attractive marking options on offer. Brengun are showing CAD for their 148 scale DG Flugensbär, DG 1000/TG, which is a glider sailplane, which is slated for release in 2020. Sova M, I haven't heard of this modern company. Sova M will be releasing a 172nd scale, a couple of versions of the Berev BE-8 MOL Soviet flying boat in plastic
scale?
injection. 172nd scale.
It's a shame. I'd love one of those in 48, the BE-8s. A great looking aircraft.
Is it a 3-engine thing?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it is.
I've got no
Some of
idea
those early Soviet flying bases look really cool.
Kitform Services are to release a 124th scale in resin British Bloodhound Mark II surface-to-air missile and its launcher. I had no idea Airfix did that in 176 scale.
Yeah,
many years ago.
That's the hardest kit to get. I think is their Bloodhound.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, that was the one that gets big prices on eBay if you can find one.
Roden have announced a 144th scale, 1/144th scale B-36B Peacemaker, which would be fantastic in that scale.
In what scale?
Dave scale.
Dave scale, 144th scale.
Sorry, a Peacemaker?
Yeah, B-36.
Oh, yeah, no, that'd be really nice,
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I've still got all my 144th scale.
Because I first thought, I didn't hear him properly, I thought he said P-36. I'm thinking in 1 to 144 scale, a pea shooter would be as big as your thumbnail.
B for Bravo. So that's it for aircraft. In armour, apparently, Rifle models are to release a 1/35th scale kit of the Panzer IV-H early production. The kit will come with workable track links and suspension bars, a detailed Maybach engine, and full structures of the artillery. Schusen and roof armour provided as photo-etched parts.
Ooh.
Rifle models have also entered the T-34 arena with a new 1/35th scale kit of the T-34/85 model 1944 from factory 174. Doesn't appear to have any interior, but rifle models appear to have made the best attempt so far at depicting those tricky T-34 air intakes. Mini Art, not to be outdone, have announced another version of their yet-to-be-released T-34/85. This one's to be a Czechoslovakian production version and comes with a full interior and, in usual Mini Art style, a ton of marking options and no doubt a ton of parts as well, from my experience.
There's so many T-34 kits right now. Oh, no. It's like everyone's battling it out.
Hey.
RPG scale models have announced a 1/35th boxing of the Kamaz K-4386 Typhoon VDV. You can build both the early mine protection armoured vehicle and the 30mm 2A42 cannon system. Das Works have announced a kit, and oh my god, how am I going to pronounce this? Basically, it's a 5-ton German 4-wheel heavy trailer. The Eckenstaanshanger.
It's funny looking at like Ian's face as you try to pronounce these German things.
Well, see, he's part Dutch, so this sort of flows naturally off his tongue.
Yeah, I know, but he's because he can't see what you're reading at the moment because you're reading it on your laptop. So he's like, I'm sorry, I can't help you out, Dave. You're on your own.
I've got no idea what you're trying to say there, mate.
And it's like you're just sort of sitting back and just sort of watching you fall over these
I'm
words.
going to demand that Ian brings his glasses next time so
You know,
he can sit and read them out.
It is. To me, it's like watching someone trying to walk across an ice-ridden footpath.
And you're watching them do the whole
Exactly.
the dance
Watch that
thing
shuffle where the feet are going 1,000,000 miles per hour. And that's Dave trying to talk.
Do you remember have you there's the Boston Dynamics, the company that makes those robots, like the robot thing, and they had like this video of like one of their like 4-legged robots as it skitters around on the ice and tries to find its footing, and it looks like a deer, like a deer that's like on the ice and it's doing the shuffle thing. That's
You two quite finished now?
It's really amusing because he just sort of it's like a wildlife documentary, like watching you go. You take that pause at the start and then you're like, okay, I'm going to attempt this and it's going to be bad.
And if you're very quiet, you can actually see Dave struggle.
Moving on, Ace Models are releasing a 1/72nd scale Humber Super Snipe Saloon British staff car. Pity's in 1/72nd scale.
It's like Monty's car, wasn't it? Didn't he have a Humber?
That'd look nice in
1/35th
scale. Cam, I've never heard of Cam's. It's a modelling company, CAM in capitals. Cam's is, you heard of them?
Yeah, they make, sort of, I don't know, esoteric British stuff.
Well, this is esoteric. They're soon to release a 1/35th scale Vickers 6-ton light tank.
Well, that's esoteric British.
That's actually not. That's a little less esoteric than normal because that's kind of like one of the earliest tanks there is, and the Japanese ripped it off, and the Russians ripped it off, I think, as well.
Yes,
and it's one of those early tanks that everyone sort of went, well, okay, we'll use this as the basis for our tanks then.
Yeah, some of those early British tanks were really weird. I remember watching recently a documentary on the Battle of Madagascar.
Yeah.
With the British invaded Madagascar and
against the French,
and that was a tough slog. And the little light tanks that they had were well, the first one they landed on the beach got bogged.
Well, it's like the Matilda 1 looks nothing like the Matilda 2.
No,
it's only in name only.
Yeah,
I mean the Matilda 1 is god awful ugly.
Oh yeah, those early British tanks were just not much chop, in my opinion.
No. But you know what? The later war tanks did all right.
Yeah.
The Comet was all right. The Churchill was a nice tank.
Yeah. Yeah, once they figured out you can do more damage with a bigger gun.
Yeah, but, it's... It's
Well,
interesting.
Even I would say that even then they were a little bit underwhelming.
Yeah.
And part of it was
it wasn't till the Centurion that the British really got into a decent.
Yeah, but
decent
that
tank.
there's a reason for that, and the reason is because they designed all of their tanks to be X width and no more.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to be able to transport them via rail through the underground.
Yep.
But once they did away with that requirement, it's like, well, they started making decent tanks.
Yeah.
And also, the British were still tied to the notion of tanks as being support for the infantry rather than the infantry being support
of the
with
tank.
Of the tank, yeah. And that sort of didn't really change until they...
Well, that was the World War II doctrine. Like, almost everyone played it that way during World War II.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's an interesting subject, and we should sort of maybe touch on this one day, but I think it's sort of outside of our scope as a modelling podcast. But the German way of manoeuvre warfare didn't really it wasn't really doctrine even at the start of the war. They sort of stumbled onto it through the invasion of France. And it was, and they go, well, gee, this is a good idea. This is working really well. Let's sort of, match it up. And then they sort of, really honed it, and it played really well when they went into Russia and other parts. And, Rommel did it really well in the desert. And
yeah, but the big downfall with those sort of big sweeping manoeuvres is their supply lines got
supply lines and the fact they weren't a true mechanised army.
Yeah.
90% of the army was still
horseback, and bicycles.
Yeah.
Because they like pinching bicycles.
Yeah.
Just ask my grandma.
All right, enough with your bicycles.
All right, that's it from what's new in the modelling world. And I think now, should we have another break or should we go right into our next subject?
I just want to cover quickly.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said you didn't have anything new.
Yeah, well, I was looking up. So, a modeler online, Jonathan Anderson, he came across something quite odd. If you know of the website Etsy, so it's a place where a lot of small jewelers and
they sell their products.
Yeah, they'll sell their little trinkets on there. Well, there's a modeler from Hungary who's selling models on there,
right,
for like $250, $300 a pop.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, the sample images, the images that he gives of supposedly of the tank, because they're all armor kits, are not actually the modeler's work.
Oh, he's been ripping photos off someone else.
Yeah.
Ooh, big no-no.
So, yeah, and this guy came across it when he was Googling photos of one, I don't know, a KV2 or whatever. He came across a photo of his own model of a KV2 that he still owns the kit of. He's like, oh, this guy's pinched my photos.
So buyer beware.
But also, like, it's not just him. He's pinched photos from all over the place. One of them is for Meng's PZ, whatever, that great big modern German mobile artillery unit.
Right.
Yeah, and he's just pinched it straight off the Meng website.
Wow.
Definitely
buyer beware when you guys are out there buying online.
Definitely.
I don't think it's any of us, but I mean, like, I think, we don't like the idea of someone
ripping
making a profit off of our images of work that we've made.
Well, it's not just that; it's also the ones like who are doing the casting recasts, and
yeah, it's sort of in the same area.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, no, it's just unconscionable.
Just not cricket.
No, it's not. Yeah, I have a certain wall that I'd like to line all those scumbag up against. I'll tell you right now. Anyway, let us move on for
chill out, Dave.
It just really, Yep. As you say, you're profiting off the hard work of good people. And it's just not fair.
Well, even then, like in this particular case, imagine you're some guy who likes to buy models.
As a collector.
And you go, oh, that's a nice looking tank, I'll buy that. And then you get something that's less.
Yes.
You're not getting the advertised product.
No. Yep. Agreed.
Because you remember, you it's only the image that's been pinched. You're still getting a model, I suppose.
Yeah.
But you're not getting the model that's...
You're not getting what you asked for. Yeah. That's like back in the 70s. Back here, David probably remember this. There was that big scam going on where a guy would be had advertisements in the newspaper. Send me $10 and I'll show you how to cut your bills in half. You sent him $10 and he sent you back a $2 pair of scissors.
Have you seen the one of the where it's people have gone and $15 for a plastic chair? Yeah, I'll buy that one.
Yeah, it's
$15
tiny.
one.
And
it's just a little model chair.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a couple of inches tall. And it's like, well, you didn't read the dimensions, did you?
Yeah, exactly. All right, next subject, Dave.
I'm going to play a little game with you guys.
Okay.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a mythical $100,000 to start your own modelling company.
Well, that's not much. You're going to get much out of that.
All right, then, you bloody... I'll give you $200,000 to start your own modelling company. Tell me what model or two models you would produce. And the aim of the game is to be profitable afterwards.
Okay, since I'm an Australian, I would choose Australian products.
Oh, you're limiting your market straight away.
Wait for it.
Okay.
I would do... Now, this is... I'm actually cheating a bit here. I would do a range of Australian muscle cars in 124, 125 scale. GTs, Monaros, RT Chargers. On the aircraft front, DAP, Beaufort in 148 scale, fully detailed.
Yeah, I reckon. I'm questioning your cars. Would it sell enough to make a profit?
Aussie muscle cars?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You think so?
Oh, yeah. Look, muscle car collectors, people who like muscle cars, don't really care what country they come from. If it's got a V8 and it looks cool, we're there, man.
Okay. Cool.
See, you've clearly thought about this, right?
Mm-hmm.
I haven't. So I haven't. I don't have an actual specific.
Hang on. Do you remember that?
I have a genre of things.
Wait a second. Do you remember the text message I sent you guys saying, "Hey, this is what we're going to talk about"?
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
And I thought we'll just thrash it out on the podcast, right? I mean, don't get me wrong. I have some thoughts, but I don't have specific.
Julian's like, oh shit, do we have to study for this?
No. What I mean is that I didn't I've got like in the same area where you've got like say a genre of like Aussie muscle cars, right? I don't have any specific individual subjects,
Yep.
which is and I like to be specific. So I don't have any of those off the top of my head. I'd have to sort of sit down, brainstorm some actual subjects that I would do. But generally speaking, like how you start a business off like this is you start off super niche. Like a good example is Amusing Hobby, right? They started off doing all the 1946
paper
Panzer type stuff. And now they can do, now that they've got their foot in the door, they can do some
Stuff that
actual,
really
actual subjects that need attention and would garner some interest, right? But that's how you do it.
Yep.
Maybe I think Aussie muscle cars is probably a little too niche because you want to be able to cast a broad net and capture from and draw from a large audience, right?
Yeah, we're still going to go from a large because
but I mean, like,
there's a
you have
lot
to
of people
remember
I
that-
talk to that build cars, especially the Aussie guys, would love to see Australian Monaros, GT Falcons, and Chargers. You can't get them.
Yeah, I know.
Plus, I reckon it would probably bring in a lot more modelers because a lot of people that they won't touch the American stuff, they won't touch the European stuff because they're Australian. They like the Australian product.
But the problem
you could
is
also then-
there are less car modelers than there are armor modelers. So I would go for either armor or aircraft, right? Go for the two biggest genres,
Yep.
right, of modeler, and then I would pick from some area within that has either been neglected,
Yep.
a popular subject that's been neglected, like you said, like the Beaufort,
Yeah, the Australian Beauforts, yep.
right? But I wouldn't necessarily say an Australian Beaufort.
I'd say definitely an Aussie boat.
Because they're
'cause-
different. They're so much
Yeah.
different to the British ones.
Yeah.
The ones built here at Fisherman's Bend.
Yeah, well, in any case, you want to go for a subject that people sort of wonder how does a fairly popular subject like that
Get missed.
get missed, right? What you do not want to do is you don't want to go for some super weird esoteric
No.
thing that will only appeal to a limited number of people.
Imagine a Westland pterodactyl in 148 scale.
Well, do you want to hear what my fantasy build would be?
See, I reckon you could actually... Okay, so let me just continue.
Sure.
If you could build a better P40 than the Hasegawa offerings...
Well, Edward's doing that.
Yeah, that would be a good one to start off with, perhaps. Because
Mm-hmm.
that's a fairly mainstream plane
Yes.
that could be done far better,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
That's one thing that I reckon you could start off with. The German stuff's all been done to death.
Yeah.
Right? No one's going to buy anything Japanese. You might find something British.
Oh, if someone did a decent Francis in 48 scale, I'd be all over it.
Well, why don't you choose that as your subject?
Because it's not a DAP Beaufort.
See, I think if you could do like either a Hasegawa or like Tamiya or Wings level engineering quality version of a Tiger Moth, right? You might be able to get your foot in the door with that because people would go, well, between that and the Airfix one, I'll go with the one that's not Airfix.
Yeah. Yes.
Right? And you could probably capture a lot of the sort of subtleties of a fabric-covered plane better than Airfix would.
Yes.
Probably. What else? There's probably a few like armor kits you could probably do better.
Sentinel. Would you do a Sentinel?
Well, actually, you know what? A Sentinel, just because of World of Tanks and because that's promoted these weird esoteric tanks to be more prominent than they otherwise would be. I think you could probably get away with it.
Because there is a Sentinel, but it's a resin, and it's a lot of work.
Blech.
A lot of work to get it looking good.
Resin tanks are always going to be like overpriced because they're just big chunks of resin. They're not like aircraft where you're going to get like a fuselage that you have to glue together.
Yeah.
I mean, like I know that your resin kit of a plane is like one solid piece.
Yeah.
That's expensive, right? But if it's actually hollowed out, they're not as expensive.
Correct.
That comes with its own issues, obviously.
Warpage.
Yeah, so I wouldn't go for a car. I wouldn't go for a boat. It'd have to be either an armor kit or a plane kit. And I would go with something a little bit more niche, and then you can broaden your way out afterwards if you're a model company. But if you're starting off, you also want to pick something that's relatively small. So you either want, if you're going planes, you don't want a bomber or anything. You want a fighter, right? Because the bigger your sprue, the bigger your costs.
Yep.
Right? That is a huge factor. Like you look at like really startup companies like Dora Wings, and they even break up the lower wing into 3 pieces instead of just one.
Yep.
Which is the standard for most kids. They went with 3 because their sprues are small. I think the most expensive thing you could possibly do are the Wingnut Wings massive, huge one-piece sprues.
Yeah.
That are 50 centimeters long.
Nah, I can beat that. I've got the Bronco 135th scale U-boat.
Oh yeah, but
that's got big sprues.
Yeah, but see the thing about if you can think of like the machine and the amount of area that work area you've got to deal with on that machine, it's like if you're doing like a Dora Wing style kit where each of the sprues is only a short length of like 15 to 20 centimeters, you can punch out maybe the sprue for the wings and fuselage, right? You can punch out maybe, I don't know, 4, 6 or something in one go. But with Wingnut Wings, it's like, okay, you get part of one kit.
Yeah.
You get like a 10th of one kit in just one entire thing, It's
yeah, but then on that talk, going back to my idea of the cars, you could, if you want to start off with a small car, well, you could do like maybe to really get the punters in. This is for Australian listeners because our American and European listeners wouldn't have a clue who I'm talking about, but Peter Brock's A9X Bathurst winning Tirana.
I reckon Tirana would probably be nice.
And like if you do like and for us Aussies, if you do like a Bathurst range, you're printing your own money. Because we Aussies love our Bathurst race.
I wonder how that would go though, because the problem with a lot of race cars
is you got to be able to get around the manufacturer.
No, it's not even that. It's you also got to contend with all the
sponsors.
Yeah. And there was cigarette sponsors on there.
Yeah, because I remember. Yeah, that was Marlboro.
Yes, it was a Marlboro cigarette.
But what you can do with that, you can just change a letter.
Because that's
So what you do, because there's ways around that. Because when you print your decal sheet, right, is for example, you got like the Marlboro on the bonnet. You got the big chevron and the Marlboro written across the front. So what you do is you split Marlboro up, the decal in 2 parts. So you got, and you misspell it. But then what you do on a separate part in the decal sheet, you have the correct part spelling.
Oh, this is the same thing as a swastika, right?
Yeah, so legally, you're not got cigarette sponsorship, but when you build it, you can take that decal from the corner of the sheet and replace the other one, and then you got the correct Marlboro.
Oh, it's a cunning plan.
Yes, I thought about it, Dave. You told me to have a think about it, and I did.
That's a good. I don't know. I'm not sure why others don't actually do that.
Mm.
Because I've had a look at a few Hasegawa race car kits, and they either completely change like the writing on the car, or
it's like when you look at the tyres when they do the printing like Goodyear or Continental, and they totally misspell it, and it's like it just doesn't look right.
Like for example, the car that I did, the Lancia, it has these blue bars that you put on it that has nothing written inside it. It's supposed to say Rothmans.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not there.
Yeah.
No, it's not there.
And same with the classic the silky cut or whatever it's silk cut
cigarettes. Yes.
Yeah,
Lucky Strike.
Yeah. So there's like this what was it, the Jaguar in that bright pink and white color.
Another way for the companies to get around that, in my opinion, would be, for example, Rothmans. You could have the one decal that says Man's Roth. So all the modeler has to do is cut that decal in half, swap the parts, swap them over, and then it spells correctly Rothmans.
Yeah.
And the company is not going to get in any trouble for cigarette sponsorship.
Yeah.
Well, you could do my idea and not even do a car at all.
And what's that?
Oh, I'm going to make thousands out of this one.
Oh, yeah.
A Colossus class aircraft carrier.
So you can do the Melbourne.
Which can also, it can do the Sydney, but also have the parts so you can do a Majestic class.
Because they were very similar.
Well, the hull was the same. The difference between the Majestic and the Colossus was the Majestic class came later and it had the angled deck. So that way you can do HMAS Sydney, HMAS Melbourne. Also, it was used by the Argentine Navy. It was used by the Canadians. It was used by the Dutch.
Yes,
the Dutch
that's right.
had an aircraft carrier. The French Navy.
What scale, Dave?
1/350 scale, the only true scale that there is for modelling ships.
Yeah, but I think you're probably more profitable if you go at 700 scale first. And then if it gets enough sales, then you can go 350.
Negative Ghost Rider.
See,
I am building this in 1/350
This touches
scale.
on another thing that I'm... See, if I was gonna start off with any kind of British subject, I would definitely go 72nd scale first.
You can't do a ship in 1/72 scale.
No. If I was doing a British plane, I would do 72nd scale first because British planes are going to be adopted by British modelers first.
And British love 172 scale.
That's right. And if you're going to do an American plane, you do it in 48th or you do it in 32nd. You got to play to the market.
I'm playing the market. I'm telling you, this thing would be profitable. And here's my second one. A Charles F. Adam class destroyer was used by a lot of navies, including obviously the American Navy, the German Navy, the Australian Navy. I've already said that. I think the Turks used it. The Greeks might have used it.
See, the thing is,
very popular.
It doesn't matter who
guided
used
destroyer.
It necessarily, right?
I'm looking at the market reach.
See, the thing is, on one hand, ship modelers don't build many ships, right? Because they take so long to build. On the other hand, the one thing that works in your favor is that they're expensive kits, so you can make a lot of money on each unit, and they are more keen to buy kits.
No, I'm just going to trump both of you right now.
Okay.
Just popped in my head.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Caricatures of us three.
Bust.
Just caricatures, little bobbleheads of Dave, Julian, and Ian. Mate, we'd be swimming in cash for the rest of our lives. You imagine a bobbleheaded you?
Let's go. Oh, geez.
Wouldn't be much difference to the real one, but then again.
Okay.
What is this? Hanging on Dave Day.
Okay, I've got one better than that.
Go on.
So here's what you do. You make Sanguinius from Warhammer, and you just relabel it so it's a different name so that, you don't get sued by Games Workshop. And you do a nice big scale one of that.
Yeah.
I don't know what Sanguinius is.
Oh, he's one of the Primarchs.
Oh,
He's
okay.
one of the most popular
Primarchs,
characters
the Blood Angels.
in Warhammer universe. And like so what Games Workshop are slowly releasing all of these like actual Primarch characters as like big
It was
scale
a
kits.
weird one. What do they just do? If they can do that, do a Sevatar.
But see, they're slowly rolling it out because remember the storyline's slowly moving forward.
Yeah.
Right. And as these Primarchs come back out of the woodwork, because a lot of them have gone off to the, into the Nether and all that sort of stuff. Right, they're lost. No one knows where they've gone. So storyline-wise, they're waiting for them to either like be revived or step back out of the warp or whatever it is. It's kind of like everyone's coming back to the party and we're going to fight it out, kind of thing.
They won't
And they're
do it.
slowly rolling this forward.
Yeah, but they won't
And
be able
as
to
a
bring. They
result,
won't be
this-
able to bring them all back though.
No, that's right.
Well, Ferrus Manus lost his skull.
Yeah.
He lost his scone.
So, like, basically, they keep slowly bringing back all these guys, and they release a new model each time they do it. And everyone's like, "Oh, this is sick." So what you do is just beat them to the punch because there's the one that they can never bring back is the one that's dead, Sanguinius. But he's the most loved one because he's the one that's the coolest in a lot of ways.
No, he wasn't good.
Oh, I reckon my Colossus
Everyone
class.
really
my
loves
Colossus
it.
class aircraft carrier.
In any case, if you just bring that out in large scale, I reckon you'd sell heaps.
Well, if you're going to go figures, why don't you... I know you can get one, but it's going to cost
And
you a fortune.
Warhammer models, right? Those guys have deep pockets.
Yes, they do. But I reckon so. If you're going to do big resin figures or something like that, do a Cthulhu. I know
You don't
there's
even
one
need to do it in
available.
resin. You don't even need to do it in resin.
A big plastic Cthulhu.
No. I mean, no. Yeah, you could do it in plastic. Yeah. But I'm like, you do.
You'd have to do some decent slide moulding though to get the side details.
No, just do it in like multiple pieces. But you
Oh, yeah.
just design it all in CAD. You 3D print up your master for it. That's the grassroots startup model company way of doing things nowadays. It's how they all do it.
Yep.
You can see the hallmarks of 3D printing involved in the process.
But I still reckon bobble-headed us is the way to go.
Right.
Actually, you know what?
Make a fortune for us. I think, Dave.
Better still, right? You just 3D print them. Just straight up 3D print them at home. You're a one-man band.
That's it.
Cthulhu, all the way.
Yes. There you
All right,
go.
guys, we're coming up for 2 hours.
Oh,
so
we
this
are
is
too.
making a huge podcast this week. So,
Yep.
this episode. I think we'll call it quits there.
All right. Sounds like a plan. I want to go home and do some weathering.
Sure.
Let's have a sign off from you, Ian.
Photo, which is your friend.
Julian,
I've forgotten. Nothing's coming
is
to
it buy
mind.
more tools?
Yeah, I don't want to go with that anymore. That's old hat. Don't get me wrong. I still stand by what I said.
God, give me strength, please.
Well, that's Julian sign off. Your turn.
I don't have a sign off.
You don't.
I've never had a sign
Nah,
off.
he just throws it to us so he doesn't have to think.
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
think of
that's
anything.
right.
Right?
Typical.
See, I'm not thinking of anything either.
Yeah.
All right,
But at least I own
guys.
up to it.
Thanks for listening. We'll be back in a fortnight. See you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.